Aileen Miracle from Mrs. Miracle's Music Room. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite activities called the Bunny Game for kindergarten music. And I just wrote about this game on my latest blog post. So if you're watching this live, then you can go to my blog at www.mrsmiraclesmusicroom.com, and it's the most recent blog post. But if you are watching a recording of this later, then you can check it out by going to my blog and then just going to the right-hand search bar and searching for the Bunny Game or searching for kindergarten music, and you will see it. So I have the directions and the music in the blog post that you can download for free by signing up for my email list. But I'm a kind of person where I like to be like there watching an activity to really understand how it works. So that's why I thought I would go ahead and do a video so you could see what it looks like in person. So a little bit of history about the Bunny Game. Back in college, one of my professors kind of took me under his wing. His name was Tim Caldwell at Central Michigan University, Fire Up Chips, and he gave me pedagogy lessons, which was just amazing, and worked with him one-on-one, and he helped me to create, you just kind of walked through this process of creating this activity, and I've been using it ever since. So it's a really great activity for just like a brain break in general, but also to start preparing high and low, and really listening for musical cues so they can hear certain kinds of music and know what to do. So I'm going to I have my piano right here, my keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and play through it so you can kind of see how it all works together, and then I'll break it down bit by bit. So I'll go ahead and shift this right here so you can see my keyboard. All right, so I have all the kids spread out in the room, and I tell them to put a magic bubble around themselves. And then I remind them that bunnies don't talk. And then I say, okay, once upon a time, there were a bunch of bunnies and they like to hop around. And once in a while, they'd wiggle their noses. And then they'd wiggle their tails. And they'd hop around some more. And then they'd wiggle their tails. And they'd wiggle their noses. And they'd hop around some more. And after all that hopping, their tummies started to get really rumbly, they're really hungry, and then I say, do bunnies like to eat cheeseburgers? And the kids yell, no! Do bunnies like to eat tacos? No! And you can play with that however you want. And what do they eat? They eat carrots, so they had to dig for the carrots. And everyone get the carrots and they ate them! And then their tummies were full. And they hopped around some more. And they'd wiggle their noses. And they'd wiggle their tails. And they'd hop around some more. And they'd wiggle their tails. And they'd wiggle their noses. And after all that hopping, they started to get very tired, so they laid down to rest. And then the room is totally quiet, and I say, okay, everyone, on the count of 3, I want you to stand up where you're at, or I want you to sit up where you're at. And I'll say 1, 2, 5, and a bunch of them sit up, and we all start giggling. 1, 2, 3 million, and they all start giggling, and then I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then, they sit up. So as you can imagine, it's a big hit. They really love it, and really there is nothing cuter than watching kindergartners hopping around the room, wiggling their noses and wiggling their tails. It is really super cute. And like I said, you can use it for high-low. I start with an octave, so I start with middle C to D for the trill, and then an octave above that. And then, but you could start minimizing it, like you could, halfway through the year, maybe you could start doing a perfect fifth. You could do G and A for the nose and C and D for the tail. And even if you wanted to minimize it even more to get them ready for So Me, you could do a minor third, so G and A, and then E and F, however you want to do it. Also, I should point out, let me kind of shift towards the piano again. For the hopping, I'm just doing C major, and I'm doing like dotted 8th 16th, so... Sorry, I messed up a little bit there. But I'm starting with C in my left hand and E in my right hand, and then I'm just going... like that. Whatever, I'm sorry, I'm nervous, so I keep messing up. But that's the hopping. And then I already showed you the trills for the digging, or for the rumbly. tummy, you can just, you know, play whatever you want on the low end. And then for the digging, you kind of dig at the piano. And then for the eating, just whatever on the high notes there. And then for the, when their tummies are full, you can play a C major chord in both hands. For the sleeping, this is just black keys pentatonic. And I just play just, you know, one note in the right hand, one note in the left hand, and just kind of improvise. And then when I'm ready to end, I get a little bit slower there. So that's just kind of a rundown of how all that works there. Like I said, great for high-low, great for, you know, listening for those musical cues. They really enjoy it. And then you could, you know, you can change up the story a little bit. So like you could do turkeys, you could do snowmen, reindeer, however you want to do it, and just change the story a little bit, maybe change the music a little bit. I've done like sea creatures down in the sea. And then, you know, starfish on the beach. However you want to do it. It's just a lot of fun. I wanted to mention that on the blog post, I also mentioned something called Mr. Stingy Man, and I'm thinking about doing a Facebook Live about that as well. And I might just keep this time of Thursday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern to kind of explain the Mr. Stingy Man, because that's another one where if you're reading it, you might not totally get how it all goes until you hear it in person. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I had fun showing you that today. And feel free to comment below with any questions, and I hope you enjoy.